Day one of Green Bay Packers mandatory minicamp is officially in the books. So let's go over all the key notes and takeaways from today's practice. Mandatory minicamp spans from today until Thursday. Then we have a long period in between then and the start of training camp. So this is really just the beginning of the offseason, right? Everything really starts to happen during training camp, but we still saw a lot of important things happen today. A lot of interesting things happen today in the first mandatory minicamp, and really starting to see this Packers 2025 team take shape. If you guys want to stay in the loop with everything Green Bay Packers this offseason, I highly suggest going down and clicking that subscribe button. There'll be highlight videos and key takeaway videos like this one after every day of practice open to the media, and that spans, of course, into training camp as well. Just released the highlight video from today's minicamp practice. If you want to watch that, it's over there on the channel. So again, go hit the subscribe button if that interests you. Supports the channel a ton. It's absolutely free to do. All right, so let's dive right into it. Again, there's 3 days of mandatory minicamp. I'm not sure if the next 2, tomorrow and Thursday, are open to the media. Again, if they are, there'll be updates here on this channel. But first, let's go over attendance. So unlike OTAs, mandatory minicamp is mandatory. So every player is required to show up to practice, and every player did show up to practice today. There were no players absent, and that includes Elgton Jenkins. He was here today at practice. Now, he wasn't practicing. Not sure what the injury issue is there, but he was at practice. Obviously, the Packers cut Jaire Alexander yesterday, so he's not at practice. I think he would have showed up if he was still on the roster. Some of the players that are here but also not practicing and are rehabbing are as follows: Quay Walker, Michael Robinson, Kalen King, who also has a cast on his right arm for a right forearm injury. We saw him practice in OTAs last week, kind of had a rough showing. Now he has yet another setback with a injury to his right forearm that requires a cast. Not what you really wanted to hear from Kalen King in terms of early offseason activities. Zane Anderson, Colin Oliver, Aaron Banks, which is a new addition here, maybe picked up an injury or something small, and the Packers are just being precautionary here. We don't really have any insight what that injury may be, or if it's even an injury at all. Elgton Jenkins, John Williams, Christian Watson, and Julian Hicks. And then also Savion Williams is still in the red non-contact jersey. All right, so now let's go over lineups on both offense and defense. There is a bit of a change on the offense with Aaron Banks absent, and Jordan Morgan took primary number 1 reps at left tackle over Rasheed Walker. Even did so in the 2-minute drill during team sessions. He started at left tackle. So Packers clearly having an open competition at left tackle. And if Jordan Morgan runs away with this job, be on the lookout for the Packers to simply outright trade Rasheed Walker to a team that needs a tackle and get good compensation for it. You know, maybe even a 2nd to 3rd round pick. Obviously, that has to happen where Jordan Morgan clearly shows the Packers that, hey, I can start at left tackle this year, but they are giving him the opportunity to do so. Also, Donovan Jennings was with the ones at left guard today in Aaron Banks' absence. So I would assume if Rasheed Walker was still at left tackle, Morgan would plug in at left guard. But with Morgan at left tackle, it was Donovan Jennings. And he was someone I was extremely high on last offseason, undrafted free agent out of USF there, but suffered some injuries last season, never really kept that momentum going that he had early on. Hopefully he can stay healthy, and he is a candidate to make this roster as a depth interior offensive lineman. Jacob Monk still at starting center with Elgton Jenkins not practicing. Obviously, Elgton would be there if he was practicing today. Sean Ryan at right guard and Zach Tom at right tackle. As for some of the defensive lineups, the defensive line in teams was as follows: Lucas Van Ness, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, and Rashawn Gary. So Kenny Clark returns to team drills, and Lucas Van Ness is getting a ton of opportunity with the ones at edge opposite Rashawn Gary. Linebackers were Edgerrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, Isaiah Simmons. Simmons also getting a ton of opportunity, even over Tyron Hopper, but Tyron Hopper is rotating in and getting his reps as well. This is obviously in the absence of Quay Walker. He's not practicing, he's rehabbing. The corners were Keyshawn Nixon and Nate Hobbs, just as they were during OTAs with the absence of Jaire. And now that Jaire is gone, it's going to remain the same. It's going to be Keyshawn Nixon and Nate Hobbs at outside boundary cornerbacks in base. And then when they move into nickel, Bullard dropped down into the nickel cornerback slot. Now, I think the Packers have some flexibility there if they want to run Hobbs at nickel, if it's a pure passing situation and bring on Valentine at boundary. I think we will see some of that. But the Packers, at the end of the day, have a ton of flexibility, are a little bit light on the outside at cornerback, which we have a potential new candidate at cornerback I'm about to tell you guys about. I'm sure you already saw it if you watched my highlight video. And the safeties were Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney. As I just said, there was a position change, a player on offense switching to defense, and that is none other than wide receiver Bo Melton switching to cornerback to give it a shot. Now, he still took reps at wide receiver. He still participated in team sessions and made plays as a wide receiver, but he's also warming up as a cornerback, taking team reps as a cornerback, and making plays as a cornerback. And maybe this is an answer to the potential depth issue that the Packers have at cornerback. I know it's pretty funny to have, one day you cut Jair Alexander, a former Pro Bowl, second-team All-Pro cornerback, and the very next day you have a wide receiver convert to cornerback at practice. Just seems very Packers-esque. And Gutekunst was asked about this during practice, and he pretty much said the coaching staff and Melton threw out the idea based on how well he's performed on special teams. Going to see how it works out, but Gutekunst reiterated Melton's value to the Packers and what he offers as a wideout as well. But at the end of the day, Bo Melton's course to this roster might be better at cornerback. The Packers are severely lacking depth at cornerback, and they have a plethora of depth at wide receiver, and it's really between Mecole Hardman, Malik Heath, and Bo Melton all fighting for one spot at wide receiver, whereas Bo Melton could make this roster as, say, a fifth or sixth cornerback with tremendous special teams value now that Kalen King has an injury to his right forearm. Haven't heard much of Micah Robinson. Did hear good things of Kamal Hadden over OTAs, but I just feel like that is maybe a better course for Bo Melton to make this roster. And, he even made some plays during teams, which we'll go over here in a second, but it's an intriguing position change, and I'm excited to see how it ends up. Now, going over the team drill notes during 11v11s, it was noted that Tyron Hopper had some very nice reps with the second team. He had great closing speed and also had a nice pass breakup on Chris Brooks out of the backfield. And as we were just talking about Bo Melton, he had a tackle on Tucker Kraft. Obviously, it's kind of half speed. They're not in pads, so whatever, you consider a tackle in that regard. Also tracked Jaden Reed well on a seam route in the middle of the field. Then right after that, had a catch from Jordan Love on offense. So they're moving him from offense to defense. We have Travis Hunter at home, and his name is Bo Melton. I mean, it's just crazy that this is ongoing, but I'm excited about it, I guess. Let me know your guys' thought in the comments below. Also, Baron Sorrell had a sack to start teams with the twos during the 2-minute drill, and he also showed some disruptiveness in OTAs. So Baron Sorrell showing up early in these early portions of offseason activities. Speaking of the 2-minute drills, the second team started, second team offense versus second team defense. As I stated, it started with a sack from Baron Sorrell. Then throughout that drive, Malik Willis found Cornelius Johnson, Emmanuel Wilson, Ben Sims, did miss Mecole Hardman deep, then connected to Sam Brown deep, which was a really nice diving catch, but they couldn't get up in time to spike the football, and the clock ran out. And the defense won the 2-minute drill. The second team defense won the 2-minute drill. And on that play, Lucas Van Ness had a really nice pressure beating Kadeem Telford. As for the first team, Jordan Love really has just seemed way more in control this offseason. Not that he wasn't in control the last two off seasons, but it seemed kind of like more inconsistencies happen where one day he was on fire, one day it looked a little rough, where so far, and this is just 3 practices open to the media, non-padded, 2 OTAs and 1 mandatory minicamp, but so far, he's looked very, very in control and consistent. Now, the offense failed on this drive at the 2-yard line, but to get to that point, it was like clockwork. Jordan Love found Tucker Kraft twice, Josh Jacobs out of the backfield, Jaden Reed. He hit Malik Heath on a deep 31-yard completion, and he found Mecole Hardman on the final play, which arguably maybe would have gotten to the end zone, but it was considered a tackle by Edgerrin Cooper, and the defense wins a stop at the 2-yard line. But in a full live setting, maybe Mecole Hardman gets into the end zone, but I'm not really going to sit here and doubt Edgerrin Cooper's ability to stop someone at the 2-yard line. But overall, like I said, Jordan Love just looks way more in control this year rather than the past 2 years. And also on that drive, Jordan Morgan looked really good at left tackle, had some great protection against Brenton Cox Jr., trying to get after Jordan Love, and overall good practice by Jordan Morgan, who got the start at left tackle today. I'm sure tomorrow we'll see Rasheed Walker get the start at left tackle, and it'll be one of those things all off season where it's one day Morgan, one day Walker, and maybe the third day Morgan goes to right guard to start there. They're going to try to get this guy in the offensive line. I mean, they invested a first round pick in him. They're going to want to get him on the offensive line, and it seems like the writing's on the wall for this being Rasheed Walker's last year. And to wrap things up, the third team in the 2-minute drill ended with a one-handed touchdown catch from McCole Hardman, a pass thrown by Sean Clifford that was pretty much a prayer, and somehow McCole Hardman came down with a one-handed catch to score for the third team. So those are all the key notes and takeaways from Packers mandatory minicamp, day 1 of practice. As I mentioned, there's 2 more days of mandatory minicamp. I'm hoping both are open to the media, but nonetheless, whatever ones are open to the media, you'll find all the updates, highlights, and takeaways here right on this channel. Really appreciate you guys coming by. I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.